Kristin Cavallari is continuing to spill all of the secrets behind MTV's The Hills, and as long as she's going to talk, I'm going to be here to listen. You may have seen that on Kristin Cavallari's podcast, she's recapping her episodes of MTV's The Hills. And in her most recent episode, she recapped her first official episode on the show, the epic fight at the London hotel. Now, you may remember that when Kristin took over MTV's The Hills, she was living in this house in Malibu. Kristin says that wasn't her house. MTV actually gave her that house to live in. She says probably cost around $30 to $40 million. At the time, she was living in a condo, which wouldn't allow them to film. However, the stipulation with this Malibu house was that Kristin could only stay there when they were filming and drinking. She also talked about her relationship with Brody Jenner, saying that she was Brody's first real girlfriend out of high school. The two dated for about a year when Kristin was 18 and Brody was 22. However, any dating you see between Kristin and Brody on The Hills was all fake. Now, on the first official episode of Kristin's season, you may remember that Audrina Patridge pretended like she didn't know Kristin, which Kristin says is totally a lie. Audrina and her were friendly, they had partied together. Kristin says she even had photos of the two hanging out. Between the filming of Lauren Conrad's season finale with The Hills and Kristin taking over the show, there was a period of a few months. During that period, there were a lot of rumors out there that Kristin was going for Justin Bobby and her and Audrina didn't like each other. Kristin says that her and Audrina actually spoke about that, knowing that MTV was planting those stories out there for a storyline, and they both decided together that they weren't going to feed into that until they started filming. That's why in her first episode, you see Kristin yelling at Audrina, "It's going to be like that," because she thought up until this point they weren't going to play into that. In fact, it wasn't until the end of the season when Kristin and Audrina were in New York to do TRL. That's when Kristin turned to her and said, "You know that I never dated Justin Bobby. It was all for the show. She was playing a part. Her and Justin Bobby didn't even hang out outside of The Hills once." And Kristin says that Audrina was shocked. She really believed that Kristin and Justin Bobby dated. Kristin reveals that walking away from filming that first episode, she realized that a lot of these ladies didn't know the difference between what was real and what was just for the show. Those lines were blurred for them. And that's why she says that fight with this epic line
walked up here and was saying hi to my friends and you guys came at me like fucking piranha.
was actually real. After hearing Kristin recap this episode of The Hills, to me it seems like Kristin took the job serious, but she didn't take the reality TV drama serious. She knew she was there for a job, so she played into that character, but she also knew what was real. Whereas a few other characters on MTV's The Hills couldn't separate that.